It's a 30-minute express escape. Get a dose of destination knowledge, inspiration, and storytelling, showcasing phenomenal travel opportunities. I'm your host and number one travel expert. I'm destinationwhatever.com. Well, everybody, it's time for another travel talk. I hope you're enjoying your summer wherever you are today. We're going to talk to you about a place today that might cool you off. It might excite you, and we don't have a specific place. We're kind of going on a world tour with a supplier that I recently found out about. There's a YouTuber I follow who ended up on an island called Tristan da Cunha. And when I saw that that was possible, I had to do some digging myself and find out who in the world is taking travelers to places like Tristan da Cunha. Maybe you've seen me mention it in the newsletter recently. So I have a guest today from Oceanwide Expeditions. Our guest, her name is Toto, and she's, of course, traveled with the company. She's from the company. So today will be an opportunity for us to get to learn a bit more about the company and the world of possibilities they have, other than my obsession for Tristan da Cunha and St. Helena. Toto, welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's a pleasure being here. I appreciate it.
Cool. So today's presentation, I know you have a slideshow ready to go and
Yes.
you've got some videos and stuff like that. So as soon as you're ready, we'll hear what you have to say.
Okay, perfect. Let me just share my screen here.
And if you have any questions about things that Toto does not touch on, please reach out to me through my website and we'll get you a personalized response. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Again, my name is Toto Vermue, sales manager for Oceanwide Expeditions. To give you a little bit of an idea of who the company is, we are actually a Dutch-based company from the Netherlands. It is a family-owned company. So my boss, his father, they are still very active within the company. We own the fleet that we operate with. So we have a fleet of 4 ships, and they are all owned by Oceanwide Expeditions, which means that we have, short lines. We are the ones that decide where the ships go. Everything is arranged within house. So the staff that works on board, the crew, the technical department, if we need some updates on the ships, for example, we're the ones that arrange it, and also the routes that we sail. What we try to do for our passengers when they come on board is bring our passengers closer to the heart of nature. So we sail solely in the polar regions, so in the European Arctic, Svalbard, and Greenland. I'll get into more detail about that later on, and also the Southern Pole, so Antarctica. What we really aim to do is get those passengers into the Zodiacs, into the kayaks, on helicopter flights. We have multiple different activities that we offer during our voyages, but trying to get that extra step closer to nature. So this comes together with, the previous slide, minimum time aboard and maximum time ashore. It is not comparable to a cruise. It is truly an expedition experience. So we sleep on board, we eat on board, but we try to be off of the ship as much as possible. We are focused on the on-land experience, on the activity experience, but because everything is arranged within house, the crew, the staff, that is also fantastic. So the foods is delicious. On this picture, we have a Zodiac cruise, and we have passengers getting a little bit chilly because it is, of course, the polar regions. So the hotel manager brought them a glass of hot cocoa to warm them up a bit. So the service is fantastic on board as well.
I love that. Lekker.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Just to warm up a bit. I truly love this picture because it really captures what it is like on the ship. So when you're trying to spot wildlife, as you can see on each deck, there are people standing outside, and in this case, trying to spot that and take pictures of that polar bear. So there is really our outside decks. There's a lot of space outside for people to roam around, that they're not standing in each other's way, whether it's trying to see that polar bear or a whale that is cruising by. So we have that outside space area. And that's what we mean with this 360 experience. And in addition to that, we have an open bridge policy. So if you have any questions for the captain, for the officers that are on board, you're welcome to go up there and ask them your questions. Or if you prefer to just sit there with your binoculars trying to spot wildlife, you're welcome to do so as well. Maximum flexibility. This is something that is extremely important with expedition cruising, and especially in the polar regions. You don't know what the weather is going to be like. So weather, ice conditions might adjust our programs. But in our case, again, because we are the owners of the ships, we also adjust our programs to maximize the experience for the passengers on board. For example, on my last trip to Antarctica, we had two humpback whales that were just, coming up on the one side of the ship, underneath the ship to the other side, and they were there for like 45 minutes. This was during when we had something other planned, but we're not going to leave at that time because people want to see this. So it is important to take that flexibility with you, and we do that really to maximize the experience for people on board. Pioneers in expedition cruising, that we do see ourselves as pioneers. We try to add in new itineraries, new activities, just doing something different than other operators aren't doing something that we haven't done before, and actually going on that expedition and exploring together with the passengers. So I'll just go from pole to pole. Again, the ships, they are always going to come home to the Netherlands in between the poles. So every half year, they're always back home. If we have any maintenance or renovations that need to be done, that's when we'll do it. And then in May, they get ready to go up north to the Arctic. So Svalbard is a Norwegian island. We sail up with passengers to Svalbard, and then there the season starts as it is. We have different routes that we follow up in Svalbard. So up into, the pack ice or a complete circumnavigation. We have to do the circumnavigation a little bit later in the season because we have ice strengthened vessels, not icebreakers. So we do need the ice to have retreated some to be able to do the complete circumnavigation. But as you can see here on the pictures, the polar bear is for many definitely the number one thing to see. But Svalbard has so many beautiful things to offer. I always call it it's more like a polar safari. So you might have to look a little bit harder for the wildlife, but you have such a wide variety to be seen. So, the polar bears, the walruses, the reindeer, the Arctic foxes, different whale species, bird species. So you truly have this polar safari experience, and then sailing up into the pack ice, it is unbelievable to experience. The only thing you hear around you is the cracking of the pack ice, and then of course hopefully spotting that polar bear in the distance coming towards you. I have a short little video here, just half a minute, to give you a bit of an idea of what that pack ice looks like. So just to give you a little bit of an impression of what Svalbard and the pack ice looks like. So when the Svalbard season has come to, an end, that's usually around, beginning mid-August, sometimes towards end August, our ships, they reposition towards Greenland, and then the Greenland season there starts. This is with passengers on board as well. So we do sail from Svalbard to Greenland, but we have different itineraries in the Scoresby Fjord. This is the largest fjord system in the world. Growing towards Greenland, you also have more opportunities of seeing icebergs. So as you can see on this top right picture, you have a bigger iceberg. So what's the difference? Well, an iceberg is glacial ice, and the pack ice is going to be the frozen sea ice. So that's saltwater ice, and that's going to be shallow on the horizon, on the water. So it is a different experience when you're sailing or what you're seeing. In Greenland, we also do have great opportunities because we are there later in the season, going into September. We have wonderful opportunities to see the northern lights. So again, I have a short little video for our Greenland trips. We have actually also just added on a longer hike activity to our Greenland trips. So this is actually a full day hike, leaving in the morning, taking your lunch pack with you, and then returning back to the ship at the end of the afternoon. This gives you the opportunity to, well, really immerse yourself in this Greenlandic nature and in the atmosphere. So excuse me. So when our Greenland season has come to an end, the ships, again, they come back to the Netherlands. They get ready to go down to the southern pole, so down to Antarctica. One of the first trips of the season is to go see the emperor penguin colonies, so the fluffy, cute penguins that we see here. And then here we have a little overview of the different routes we follow. So to go see those emperor penguin colonies, we have to go into the Weddell Sea. It is early in the season because that's when the colony is there. We take the helicopters on board one of our ships on the Ortelius. She can carry helicopters, and instead of using the Zodiacs, like the little boats, to get people ashore, we will use the helicopters to get people to Snow Hill Island, and then we can walk towards the rookery. Next to that, we have different itineraries towards the western side of the Antarctic Peninsula. Keep in mind that these trips are going to be a minimum of 10 nights because we start and end in Ushuaia in Argentina, and we have to cross the Drake Passage. And this takes approximately 2 days to go, 2 days to come back. So the minimum nights that we have for our Antarctica trips are going to start off at 10 nights. In addition to the Antarctica Peninsula voyages, we also offer a Falkland Islands and South Georgia and Antarctica trip. So this is the big loop that we have here. It is longer than the other itineraries, so you do need to have the time for it. These start off at 18 nights, but it is the most complete, wildlife-wise, nature-wise, history-wise. So in the Falkland Islands and South Georgia, for example, you can find penguin species that you're not able to see in the peninsula. So the king penguins, the rockhoppers, the megalenics. So you have a wider variety of species to be seen, and also nature. The colors that you see in Antarctica are black and white, and going towards the Falkland and South Georgia, you have more coloring in the scenery, more vegetation. So overall, a more complete experience. And then here we have it just to give you a little bit of an idea of what Antarctica is like. All right. So coming down towards the Antarctic Peninsula, we have different itineraries, and one of them is called the base camp. What this means, this is a trip that comes down to the peninsula, so crossing the Drake Passage, and all these activities that you see on the pictures here are included in the price. So we will aim for everybody on board to do each activity at least once. So you could try kayaking, you could try camping, snowshoeing, mountaineering, all weather dependent, of course, because the weather does change rapidly in the polar regions and in Antarctica as well. So you can, before the trip, let us know what your priority is. If you say, I would really like to go kayaking, for example, we'll drop that down, and then we'll make sure that you're in one of the first groups to go kayaking, to do that specific activity. And then I have a little video to show you the base camp. It is absolutely so majestic to see. I mean, sometimes I get a little bit teary myself when I'm watching these videos because you are experiencing something so amazing. You feel so small when you're in between those large icebergs and mountains. And when on board, when you're experiencing this, it does get quite emotional at times.
I was actually just wondering, Toto, like when you're down
Yes.
in Antarctica, what does it sound like down there? You're so far away from anything.
Like
Like, what do you
peace.
hear down there? Do you hear animals? Is it silence? Like, what kind of
It
puts you
is
to bed?
silence. It is silence. It really depends on, of course, whenever we get closer to a penguin rookery, you're going to, well, first, you're going to smell them. You're going to smell
Okay.
when you're getting closer. And you're also going to hear them. So, it sounds like birds chippering.
Yeah.
But overall, when we are not close to a penguin rookery or any other wildlife per se, in near proximity, it is, you hear absolutely nothing. It's quiet. It's absolutely quiet. And then hopefully, of course, when you're sailing along, you'll hear the blows from a whale, whichever whale species. So there is definitely moments that you have that quietness, but also when you can hear, you're getting close to specific wildlife.
What a beautiful description.
It is absolutely fantastic. And you're crossing the Drake Passage. It takes 2 days, so you're seeing nothing but water for 2 days. And I mean, it can be rough. I am going to be honest. You can have either a Drake Lake where it's completely flat, but it can also be quite rough, wave wise. But that moment that you actually either, when you're waking up, you grab your tea or your coffee, you go outside on deck, and you actually made it to Antarctica. The waters become calm. You see your first iceberg. It's just, yeah, phenomenal experience. And when you see your first penguin, you start to take thousands of pictures of that penguin. And don't do that. I mean, of course, do whatever you would like, but you're going to see so many more penguins when you're there. So no need to take thousands of that first one.
It's all about the journey, which I think is a perfect segue to what I'm looking at right now. You know, I'm obsessed with this itinerary.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is indeed a special one. It is, we do this once in the season. So after the Antarctic season has ended, you could either choose to include the Antarctic Peninsula, so that you would start in Ushuaia, go to the Antarctic Peninsula, come back to Ushuaia, and then start the Atlantic Odyssey. Or you could start the Atlantic Odyssey straight away. We will stop at South Georgia. So this is something that is also included in our other trips, but here you have the large king penguin colony. So they look quite alike, like the emperor. So you have a picture right here, but the king penguins are a little bit smaller. They have some different features, and their chicks are brown instead of gray with the emperor penguin. So you
Oh,
have a large colony there, opportunity to see elephant seals laying on the beach. Going up from South Georgia, we aim to stop at Go Island, Tristan da Cunha, and then disembarking or you could choose to disembark in St. Helena or stay on board until Praia. It is quite popular amongst birders because you can find rare bird species around these islands that you cannot find anywhere else in the world. Additionally, to spot whales. So at the end of the season in March, it's a perfect time for whale spotting. Um, they migrate down, well, yeah, throughout the season, they migrate down to Antarctica, and then they feed on krill there. And in March, this is when, they're feeding, they have become a little bit full, and then they're getting ready to go back up north. So yeah, they're full, they're curious, they want to see the ships there. Like I was just saying, I mean, two humpback whales that were with us for 45 minutes just showing off, making a big show for us because their bellies are full, they're just relaxing before they venture off back up north. So with this Atlantic Odyssey, you also have great opportunities to spot the whales. Also whale sharks. So we also have a lot of whale shark sightings during this route. In St. Helena, there is quite some history. So you have the old house of Napoleon that you can visit, and his grave. So it brings kind of wildlife, nature, history, culture, all comes together. And then from St. Helena, again, you can try to, or you can sail along to Praia, Cape Verde, and from there are multiple flight options to get you back wherever you need to go.
Perfect.
Yes. And what is also quite amazing about this, you are sailing across the equator. So on board, they will make a ritual. It's special to sail across the equator, and especially if you're doing it for the first time. So on board, they will make a whole ritual for it for people that are sailing across the equator the first time, and it's a good experience and good to experience. Right? We always fly over the equator, but hardly ever sail over it. Or not a lot of people can say they have done that.
Well, and also we typically just fly across the Atlantic. We don't explore the Atlantic, and the Atlantic Ocean can be the destination, and it's demonstrated here.
Definitely, absolutely, absolutely, and they're really remarkable places to visit, and like Go Island, for example. This is, I mean, there is no other way, even to Tristan da Cunha. Actually, there's no other way to get there than with
Right.
a expedition ship like this, and there are not a lot of operators that are doing this route. So
So I love this because I'm a geography nerd, especially ultra remote islands, which this
right.
has. But some people tell me, they think this looks cool, but they're worried about boredom at sea. What can somebody do to fill up their time at sea? Do you have any suggestions for people that might have that worry?
And do you that have the worry about the roughness of the sea,
Or
or
boredom. How do you spend the time? You do have some sea days on
oh,
this one, and people
yes.
worried about a sense of
So we have a
boredom.
whole team of guides on board, and we make sure we have a staffing team that makes sure that each itinerary has a nice mix of knowledge, but also in reference to where we're going to be sailing, so that when you're in St. Helena, you know that we have somebody on board that knows the history of Napoleon. Or more in-depth history, let me put it that way. So we have lectures on board. Our guides will be giving lectures about different topics, and it is remarkable to see. I never knew, like we had a lecture about plankton once, and I was like, how is it possible that plankton is interesting, right? But it is very interesting. So you do learn a lot from the guides on board, and we're trying to spot wildlife, be on deck, be outside. And we do definitely fill up those days with entertaining things to do.
Awesome. So I think that should reassure anybody who looks at this. And, if this is an itinerary that gives you a tingle, it kind of makes the hairs on my arm stand up. If you're feeling that, but you're worried about the boredom, don't be. You're going to have a great time with Oceanwide Expeditions.
Absolutely. um, so this is the last slide that I have about the destination. I just want to run quickly through our ships that we have and just the different features, because they are all, well, quite different actually. We have a fleet of 4, so we have 3 motor vessels and we have 1 sailing vessel. This is actually the ship that we are doing the Atlantic Odyssey on, the Plancius. So she is an old Dutch Navy vessel. She can carry 108 passengers, so it is really all small ship cruising. She was renovated multiple times and has been sailing with us since 2008 now. So it has been an expedition ship for quite some time. She has a very cozy, warm feel to it. Really lovely ship. And yeah, here you have some interior pictures. At the bottom middle picture, you have our observation lounge. So this is where we will have these lectures as well. At the end of the day, we also have an end of day report, like, okay, what did we experience? What did we see? And what do we expect to experience and see and do tomorrow? There are also very big windows. So if you do, especially when you are in the polar regions, it can get a little bit chilly. So if you just want to come inside, warm up a bit, then you can still enjoy the scenery from inside as well. The Ortelius is, well, the slightly bigger sister of the Plancius, an old Russian vessel. Also with 108 passengers. She has a little bit more of a robust feel to it. And she's the ship that can carry the helicopters on board. So whenever we need the helicopters, we will take the helicopters. So with these Weddell Sea trips to go see the Emperor Penguin colony, we take the helicopters on board. And yeah, she can go deep south into the Weddell Sea. We actually had a new trip that was last February, and we broke records with this ship. She went to 78 degrees south, and this is the furthest south that any non-icebreaker ship has ever been. So that was a really milestone trip for us. Um, on the interior pictures here, on the right bottom, we have the bar area. So what I was saying earlier, the ships are ours, right? So any renovations or maintenance, this bar was actually completely renovated last May. So, well, not last year, May, excuse me. So we continuously try to update the ships. The Plancius had a new on deck 3. All the cabins have been refurbished. So we try to continuously keep the ships modern and up to date. The Hondius is our newest ship. So she was started sailing in 2019, and she is the largest ship that we have, 170 passengers, so 170. She is a purpose-built ship. So she was built towards our hand. We designed her. She's also the most upscale ship that we have, as you can see in the pictures here. She yeah, I don't per se like to use the word luxury because we're an expedition company. We aren't a luxury company. For us, the luxury part is yeah, being in these polar regions and are immersing ourselves in these regions.
Mm-hmm.
But she is the most upscale, I would say, that we have amongst the 4 ships. The Hondius has all large windows, so you can enjoy the scenery from inside as well as outside on deck. The Rembrandt van Rijn, that's our sailing vessel. So this is the smallest ship. She can carry 33 passengers. She sails up in the Arctic. So she does not go down to Antarctica. She does have a longer season up in the Arctic. Very classical ship. Started sail, or at least was built in the 1940s as a 2-mast herring lugger and renovated multiple times. And now the expedition ship for us. Very cozy feel on board, but also still really that true expedition feeling. I think this is one of the, well, a very important slide. We are sailing in beautiful regions, in spectacular regions. And as I mentioned, it is really emotional at times. But I do have to say the staff that works on board the ships are really the ones that make this trip. So their enthusiasm, their knowledge, you are not just going on a vacation. It is not just a vacation. It is really an educational experience, once in a lifetime experience for most. And the crew are such a big part of it, and they have so much knowledge. A lot of them have been with us for many, many years, and just know these polar regions like the back of their hands. And still things change because everything changes, right? It's all ice, and up in the Arctic, the ice is changing. No trip is ever the same, but they work around it so well. So really, they're key to the trips that we're offering. All right, so, well, that is what Oceanwide does. In a nutshell, we bring our passengers closer to the heart of nature and just experiencing spectacular, unbelievable things in these polar regions. So thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, do you redirect them to Dave, please? And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. If anybody has any questions, any booking inquiries, Toto and I enjoy working closely together. So if I don't have the answer, we'll work together. And that's one of the cool things I think about your company. Like when you're going to Antarctica, we really want you to express yourself and tell us what you're looking to get out of the trip so we can help make that come true for you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Toto, you mentioned you're a Dutch company. So everybody listening, I want you to take it from Toto's 2 lips. That's a word pun. Yeah, these trips are going to make you want a Van Gogh. That's a double Dutch coupon.
Absolutely.
And it's so special to be doing this right now. I was just thinking while I was listening to you that we are, tomorrow is summer solstice, so we are going into the longest day of the
Yes.
year. So I know for your ships up north, it's going to be a really special day.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely also that, that there's in a half an hour actually too little time because there's so much to tell, and I'm so excited about it because it is spectacular. But indeed, the summer solstice is walking outside at 12 o'clock at night. The sun is shining. It's surreal.
Absolutely. So these are the pioneering things. You said you were
Yes.
pioneers and things like that, or I even saw in your newsletter today about new hiking opportunities that will be
Yes.
unveiled for select Antarctica itineraries. So there's just so much happening. And if you're out there listening, if you've made it this far, obviously you're interested in what you're seeing. So follow me at destinationwhatever.com and keep an eye out for Oceanwide Expeditions and maybe even make them your next trip. Everything is possible. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Toto, for being here. And again, everybody else, if you have questions or for further inquiries, get in touch. Thanks
Thank
again.
you. Thank you
Dankjewel.
for having me. Bye.
Thank you for watching. This has been a Destination Whatever travel production. Subscribe for all my content. Facebook at Destination Whatever, Instagram at destinationwhatever.travel, and YouTube at Destination Whatever. Or head on over to my website, destinationwhatever.com. I'm your #1 travel expert, helping travelers nationwide explore the world. So get in touch and let's make your travel fantasies come true.